you making tea?
Now that's our water cooler. When you're here by yourself, you can just hear it bubbling
Oh,
away.
wow. You making tea?
Now that's our water cooler. When you're here by yourself, you can just hear it bubbling away.
Page 11. Hey, Janet, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, great. You're my first sound check. Mary Ellen's sitting in here with me so she can do the minutes. So I want to make sure she can hear properly. So say something pithy.
Pithy.
There
7 years ago.
you go. And you can hear her?
I can hear.
All right, great.
I can hear you, Janet. Thank you. That was
Okay.
perfect.
Hey, Ms. Gillespie, can you hear me? Hey, Ms. Gillespie, can you hear me? I can see you, but I can't tell if you can hear me. Hey, Joy. Can you hear me, Joy? You're muted.
Now I can hear you.
All right, excellent. I can hear you as well. I'm still waiting for a sound check on Miss Gillespie. I can see her, but I can't. Oh, there you go. Can you unmute Miss Gillespie?
Okay.
All right, there you are. Perfect. I did want everybody to know I started streaming and recording on YouTube a little early to make sure that I had everything down. So just know that everything we're doing is being recorded, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, Maphis, can you hear me?
Oh,
Hey, Fletcher.
everybody there, good. All right,
So
hello, everybody.
Hey,
There's-
Fletcher.
Hey,
Hello.
Hey, Mavis.
Elma,
Cindy, can we do a sound check? please?
all righty.
Cindy, can you hear me?
Yes, I hear.
Hi, Maphis. I'm
Hi there.
looking
Not hear
for
anything from Cindy.
Yeah, need a sound check from Cindy.
Hi, Fletcher. Can you see me?
I can hear you, yeah.
Okay.
You might want to change your name on here. It's just numbers. You know how to do that? It just says 17573. I don't know what that is.
If you click
Okay.
the.
I'll try to
if you
figure out how
click
to
the-
fix that.
Yep, if you click the three dots in the upper right of your screen, there should be a menu item that says change name.
Okay, I'm not seeing three dots.
Should be, at least on mine, it's in the upper right-hand corner. There's a blue mute, and then to the right of it, there are three dots.
Yep, now I see them, but, okay. Rename, okay.
There you go.
Hey, you got it?
Yeah, looks good.
Okay. I'm gonna mute myself so we don't get so much interference.
Yeah, everybody,
Thank you.
try to mute yourself unless you're going to talk. You don't have to do it until the meeting starts, yeah.
I will. Hey, folks, I'll do this once we get, I think, everybody here, but we need to make sure that with Mary Ellen taking minutes, that whenever we take a vote, that you announce your name and the vote so that she can scribe that down properly.
Council meeting, I'm on the stream here.
Matt,
Mr. Bagwell, I'm going to mute you.
Matt,
Yes, ma'am.
hello?
Yeah,
At the bottom of my screen, it says chat. What's that for?
that means if you wanted to type something that everybody in the room could read and respond to in writing.
Oh, okay. Okay. And the shared screen is lit, so that means that's what I'm seeing everybody, right, from that?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, that's what it means. I just trying to figure out what
Yeah,
button it means, because I don't like to keep pressing stuff.
No, that's probably smart. The shared screen means that if you click that button, we'll start to see what's on your computer.
May or may not be a good idea.
Right?
One never knows, do one. So hi, Thelma, how are you?
So I'm fine, thank you.
Good to see everybody. Joy.
Yes, you're right. This is the first in this new year.
Yeah, and I'm sad that we have to do this by Zoom, but I'm glad we are postponing the public hearing until we can meet publicly.
Yes, yes.
Folks, I just emailed you an email from a resident who had some questions about postponing that public hearing. I just wanted to make sure everybody saw his questions and concerns. So I
Yeah,
sent that to the group about 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, I emailed him back and said that I didn't see any problem with having the meeting, at the end of February. We'd do everything we can to hold it in,
There, the meeting?
Kent, I'm going to mute you.
There or not there, the meeting?
I can't tell you.
so everybody.
Okay, I'm going through and muting folks as I hear the interference. So
Yeah.
So please also, I appreciate your patience and recognizing that I'm going to be pushing a lot of buttons and doing a lot of talking. So if I get myself bumbled up, I apologize, but I'll get it right as soon as I can.
Sounds like me pushing buttons.
Oh, it's. All right, it's 6:59, just give you a time. And there's Sarah just logged in.
All right, good. Hey, Cindy, did you get the thing in your mailbox?
The email that you were just talking about?
No, I dropped off the thing from Main Street in your mailbox. You weren't at home earlier.
Yes, I did see it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Sarah, you never saw anybody at your house, so I didn't get you that package. It's no big deal. Doesn't have anything to do with the meeting tonight.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I was across the bay today.
Yeah. I'm
Nice
sorry to
sound
hear about
check.
your aunt.
Sarah?
Thank you.
All right, I got
Yeah,
7
I
o'clock.
think we're
Okay.
just waiting for Ray.
Yeah, I'll give it.
Hi, Kathy, I'm going to mute you.
Ray's just coming on.
Great. Catherine Krause's in the room. Look at that. Hey, Catherine, I'm going to mute you, but it's really nice to see your name.
Oh, Jeff. Jeff,
What's that one that's just a 973-800 number? What's that?
I don't know. It could be anybody.
Yeah, I don't have any idea.
I hope it's not somebody like.
Okay.
All righty, Ray, are you on?
I'm on.
Okay, great. All right. I'm going to call this remote session of the Nantucket January Town Council meeting to order. Mary Ellen, can you call the roll?
Yes. Wojciechowski,
Present.
Ray Berger,
Present.
Thelma Gillespie,
Present.
Cynthia Holdren,
Present.
Joy Marino,
Present.
Sarah Knox,
Present.
Mavis Oswald.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. The Pledge of Allegiance, I pledge allegiance to the flag.
Of the United States of
States
America.
of America.
And to the
And to
republic
the
To the
republic,
republic
For
which
which
which stands
one nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. It's hard to do over that. All right, consideration and approval of the meeting minutes from the December 20th, 2021 Town Council meeting. Does everybody have any additions or corrections to those minutes?
I had somebody email me a quick correction for a typo that was on page, the handwritten page 4. where
Okay.
Council Marino asked Mr. Spuck about, and so that correction's been made. It was just a spelling typo.
Okay. Any other changes of substance for anybody?
I have a question on page 3.
Okay.
This is from the top of where it says Council Member Oswald made a motion to approve to rezone the following properties. I'm questioning whether, because I didn't say with no conditions, I'm just wondering whether that adds something to that for future, or does it not?
It doesn't. The reason that was written there was there wasn't anything that the property owners needed to do in order to qualify for the rezoning. And because those were town properties, that's why we left it as no conditions are required.
But does that put in a qualification by being there?
I'm more than happy to remove that if you're not comfortable that that's what the words you use.
Yeah, just in case for future. It
No
means-
problem at all. I'll remove where it says with no conditions.
Thank you.
No problem.
Any other considerations? Do we have a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
Mr. Mayor, I move we accept the minutes as presented with any changes made.
That was Mavis.
Davis, yeah. Second,
second.
that was Sarah. Yeah. Discussion, any further discussion? All in favor? Let's go. Joy,
Yes.
Thelma,
Yes.
Mavis,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Ray.
yes.
Okay, Mary Ellen looks 6-0. Okay. All righty, thank you. All right. Two issues of, first of all, the public hearing that was scheduled tonight for the short-term rental ordinance. It was postponed. It's hopefully postponed till the next meeting in February. We did that more for we're expecting maybe a fairly large number of people showing up, and we were concerned more with the people in the crowd, not the council, but there would be too many people in the council chamber with the Omicron sort of running a little bit high right now. So we'll do everything we can in our power to have that scheduled for next in February. And hopefully we'll be able to do it. We should be able to do it with live. It looks like the numbers are starting to drop a little bit. So please read over everything about that before we get to that meeting. I think it's going to be a lot of people are going to be there. All right, public business. First thing is the Main Street annual presentation. Yes, Janet is out there. Janet?
Excuse me, before you start, Janet, could all of us who are not the speaker go on mute? I'm hearing a bunch of background noise that makes it
I think
hard
Matt,
to get
I think
the
Matt can mute
content.
people. Yeah. I'm not hearing anything from Janet. Are you there?
I'm here. I'm just waiting until I get the go from Matt.
Okay.
Do you folks see
Yes.
the presentation screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you see
Janet,
it, Janet?
Go.
Yep. All right. Hi,
Okay.
everybody. Good evening. As you can see, this is our 2022 update to you to bring you up to speed on what we've accomplished last year and what we hope to accomplish going forward. Next slide, please. As a quick review, this is the Main Street. We abbreviate it now with Onancock Main Street as OMS vision, which is what we want to be. And historic downtown in Hancock is the commercial and cultural heart of a thriving waterfront community. That vision is what drives our actions. Our mission, how we'll get there, is to make Hancock the place where residents are proud to live and visitors want to return. We will do this by forging community partnerships, cultivating downtown businesses, enhancing our artistic and recreational assets, and celebrating our historic and cultural character. Next slide, please. Y'all can see the bullet points in front of you. I'm going to expand on those just a bit. We claimed the achieving the Virginia Main Street designation as a 2021 accomplishment, even though we actually got the designation ahead of schedule in September of 2020. It was a rigorous months-long application process. We're very proud of achieving it ahead of schedule. And the reason we're adding it to our 2021 accomplishments is because it brought with it services to Hancock valued at over $100,000, many of those which Hancock began to realize in 2021. We increased our organizational capacity by expanding our board of directors to 9, with the most recent additions being Cindy Holdren, Bob Spoth, and Jeff Vernem. And we increased our bank of volunteers, thereby generating 1,873 volunteer hours. At the national rate of $28.54 per hour, that's a total value to the town of over $53,000 in 2021. We received $96,000 in grants and $27,000 in services. These enabled us to, 1, hire auto marketing firm and partner with the town and community representatives to create and launch a new town brand. That included logo and tagline, color scheme, and brand style guide for any who want to use the brand. You've all seen the most recent application of the logo proudly displayed on the newly repainted water tower. We also collaborated with the same firm to create the website experienceinhancock.com as a central place for promoting Hancock to visitors and to provide resources to businesses. We continue to promote brand usage, the website, and newly opened and existing businesses through newsletters, press releases, rack cards, and social media. We took some Virginia Tourism Commission funds and showcased Hancock at the East Coast Gateway in New Kent, at the New Kent Welcome Center on I-64 throughout the month of September. And ESVA Tourism reported to us a marked increase in interest in Hancock at the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel Welcome Center during that month due to the exposure we were getting in New Kent. The promotion included banners, a constantly running tourism video, brochures from many Hancock businesses who wanted to send them, and display cases featuring Hancock artists. We've already renewed our intent to do that again this coming September. Hancock Main Street commissioned a financial feasibility study of the Lilston building to help provide a clearer picture to a prospective developer of the costs and feasibility of bringing that building back into service. That included an engineering study, environmental reports, construction estimates, building code and zoning assessments, financial source research, and preliminary design renderings. We also commissioned a market study for the town to identify potential new businesses to fill empty buildings and to help us better understand downtown economic conditions and identify opportunities for market growth. This study is available to any business or prospective business who wishes to utilize the information. Hancock Main Street partnered with the town as part of the management team that administered approximately $350,000 in small business recovery funds to town businesses. In order to sustain the administration of Hancock Main Street, we have developed and have begun to implement a comprehensive funding strategy, which includes a video campaign to inform the public of who we are and what we are doing, our newsletter, the creation of a donate button on our website, and we are proud to report that we have 100% board participation in our contributions. Due to the pandemic, Hancock Main Street had to delay in-person funding events in 2021, but we are now in the process of planning an event for 2022. Next slide, please. Our 2022 goals. Inventorying the condition of the downtown district, identifying and improvement opportunities is an ongoing requirement of us as a Main Street community. We are working with the architectural firm Fraser and Associates. This is a service provided by Virginia Main Street to identify assets and needed additions and improvements. We can work with business owners to deliver architectural renderings showing the potential of their properties. You all received today, the council members received today, one of those projects, which was giving you a rendering of what the new town, the refurbished town hall could look like. I hope you enjoy that. Looking at that, get excited about the possibilities that presents, and we look forward to going over that with you all in the near future, getting your feedback on that. We met with Matt recently to identify what the funding that is coming to Anancock, the town, particularly ARPA funding, will be covering, what he envisions it covering, so that we will not have redundancy in the efforts that we apply to looking for grant funding. And it was a very productive meeting, and we have sort of fine-tuned our goals on both sides since that meeting. We will continue to promote businesses and the town through all the previous efforts that we've been making. We will continue those and renew those as we can find funding. We're going to develop a business owner's toolkit, and that will help them understand the resources that are available and the services available to them through Main Street. We're going to apply for the Community Business Launch Grant. This is a very competitive grant. I've talked to you all about it before. If it brings back a little bit of a familiar ring, it's the Shark Tank type of, it culminates in a Shark Tank type of competition. We will set up a educational program for potential businesses and entrepreneurs. They'll learn all sorts of things like understanding the market study, doing a business plan, finding funding. And then once they've completed that part of our offerings, they will then compete for a place in the town to set up their business. And we will have financial incentives that we are able to provide them to help them begin that business. So it's a very competitive grant. We're hoping to get it. We think it'll go a long way towards bringing new entrepreneurs into the town. We also have $10,000 funding from the Virginia Main Street, and we're working on a high impact design project to use that for, and that will be announced soon. We're continuing to seek funding to update experienceinancock.com, the website, and create more promotional tools to go on that site. We're continuing to, with our efforts to enlarge our volunteer force. During COVID, it's difficult. It's been difficult for a lot of organizations to increase their volunteer force, and we're hoping that we are able to do that in 2022. And we're continuing to develop and implement our long-term funding strategy. As you all know, most of the grants that we receive do not cover administrative costs. You all are right now our primary public source for our administrative costs, and we are working on a funding strategy to help augment that. We'd like to eventually take our program manager to full-time executive director. So that is pretty much it for what we're heading for this year. I'm happy to take any questions. I do want to let you all know that we really appreciate your support, that we work hard to make sure you believe that we are worth your support, and we will continue to do so. Can I take any questions?
Okay. No questions right now? If you have any questions, I mean, you can always talk to Jenny or or Janet anytime. Does everybody know? Does everybody know that they have an office over at the school, Main Street, and it's not manned full time, but they have an office there. Okay.
And you certainly have our emails.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
You.
All right, we have public business. The second item is to adopt the meeting calendar for calendar year 2022. Matt, have you got that?
Yeah, I mean, that was in your packet. It was distributed last month. The only thing I'd like to bring highlight to is the fact that by changing the planning commission to the first Tuesday of the month, it does allow for us to get the advertising and public hearings done in 1 month, which was the purpose. But that date conflicts with the OBCA monthly meeting. So that, I just wanted to put it out there that that's a conflict that we didn't anticipate. Not sure it's all that relevant, given the overlap and the fact that we can submit reports to OBCA in writing, and we can have representation from council there that aren't sitting on planning commission, but I just wanted to put it out there.
All right, I guess if it's a problem, we can change it again. Yeah, we'll see.
Has there been any discussion? I see Jeff is on with OBCA leadership as to,
No,
okay.
It's a planning commission, is it 5:30?
yes.
Which is the same time as OBCA start.
Well, it
time.
used to be at 7, but I guess people didn't like that. I guess one
It's
solution
earlier now.
one solution would be go to 7 again, but that wouldn't conflict. But yeah.
I think if we
All right.
change the dates and then we realize that it's problematic for either organization, you're right, we can alter the time without altering the date.
Okay. That's just, yeah, okay, all right. Does anybody have any further comment about the calendar? We adopted it last time, right?
You didn't formally adopt it, it was just given to you for your information to review for the year.
So
Is there a reason that it needs to be on the first Tuesday? Could it be
Well, I think the planning
on a
commission,
Monday or a Wednesday or?
Well, they've always met on Tuesday, and the reason it was the first Tuesday was it gives us time to get public advertisement for any public hearing that might take place at the town council meeting during the same month.
No, I understand.
Oh,
I
okay.
understand that part. My question was because it seems to me that OBCA is not something that an official town organization should be creating a conflict of scheduling with.
I agree.
yeah, can we look at going back to 7 o'clock meeting or to do a different day? I mean, maybe we need,
Mr. Mayor, Mavis speaking. I'm just wondering, like what Sarah just said, why does it have to be the first Tuesday? You know,
it doesn't, I don't think, maybe we should run this by the planning commissions, and see what holds us.
yeah.
And see what members, I mean, I know before when I was on the planning commission, there were several members that had something on Monday nights and that couldn't work. And then there was something on Wednesday nights and that didn't work. So Tuesday was but the planning commission makeup has changed now. So we should pick we can do it we could do it on a Monday night, I don't know. We'll see. Why don't we let is there a planning commission meeting in the first part of February, Matt? Yeah.
It's technically scheduled for the 4th. What I can do is I can keep the originally published meeting in place for is it the third Tuesday?
Yeah.
For that meeting, and then come back to you after I have a chance to talk with the planning commission members.
Yeah, I
Does
think
that sound reasonable?
Yeah, I think it's not fair of us to step on OBCA because
Yeah, that's why I mentioned it.
yeah, all
So
right. Well,
in light of that, is it feasible to approve the schedules for personnel, waterfront and council and leave the planning commission schedule to be hashed out further?
yeah, I think that sounds, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds entirely reasonable to me.
All right, can somebody make a motion that we accept the schedules for the everything except for the
I
planning?
so move.
There you go. We'll write that up for you, Sarah. I got you.
Is there a second on that motion?
Mavis, I second the motion.
Any discussion? Oh, shoot, I just went off. Hold on. Okay.
No, you
you're
didn't.
good.
I screen blinked.
That's
Okay,
on record, Fletcher.
Yeah. Joy, yes, yay or nay? They got unmute. Somebody want to unmute? Yeah,
There
Joy,
you go.
Yes, I vote
Uh,
yes.
Thelma,
I vote yes.
Mavis,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
and Ray.
Yes.
Okay, that carries. Okay, thank you. All right.
I'll let you know how it goes with planning commission. I'm sure they'll be amenable.
Yeah. Say the council discussion, review project descriptions for ARPA projects. Somebody just put that message. They didn't know what ARPA stood for. It's the American Recovery. What's the P stand for? Nobody knows?
The
American-
definition was passed around to that person. She thanked,
Okay, they got it. Good. Okay.
Yeah, we got it.
Been thoroughly answered.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I just make sure that. Great. All right. So Matt, you got the ARPA thing here?
I do. How much detail do you want me to go through with each one? Because I've put it in writing for each description. Are there just questions about each one, or do you want me to go down the list?
I mean, if nothing's happened, I wouldn't spend a lot of time on it.
Well, the question wasn't an update on the project status. The question that I responded to was, what are each of these items?
Oh, okay. All right, then we'll have to leave it up. Anybody have any questions about the items? I guess my question is, at each meeting, I guess we need, or what are you planning on spending any money in the next, the next month on what projects?
Exactly. And what I'm hoping to do now that I'm in my manager's report, you'll see that I'm back to being staffed in a couple more weeks, is the grant report that I provided, my financial report, will not only list what the budget is, what we've spent, but then what we're looking to spend over the next month. If there's anything that requires multiple bids, I'll just let you know what we're bidding and all that type of thing. So does that make sense for everybody? What the budget is, what we've spent to date, what we're investigating, going out to bid for, and then what the remaining budget is?
Yeah, I think there were some big projects that we wanted to, to know a lot more about. And, I guess we approved this budget, originally to get it to the federal government, but, I kind of thought, I think council wanted to sort of look at, every item and sort of give a yay or nay, before we do it at the meeting that month. Yeah.
Well, anything
Unless things
between,
change. Yeah.
right, Mr. Mayor, anything between 5,000 to 25,000, we have to have quotes from 3 vendors. This is according to our procurement policy. But the final approval is with the town manager. So anything over 25,000 though has to be approved by the town council.
Right. Well, there a lot of things are that. Yeah.
And most items are over 25,000.
All right. Well, let's let Matt. Does anybody have any questions about any specific things? This is your chance.
That's Joy, just to be clear, you're absolutely right. And that's what I was just saying with what's budgeted, what we've spent to date, what we're investigating or what we're getting bids on. And then depending on the size, depending on the size required is going to determine who the approval rests with. But you're right, in many cases, that'll be over 25,000. Just the first one, for example, the police generator, that's a single expenditure item. There's some installation cost, but the predominant is going to be the generator itself with installation. I've gotten 2 bids. I can't find somebody to give a third. So, that'll be a written report to council saying, this is the status of it. These are the folks who bid. These are the numbers that we've gotten. If I do select, this will be the reason for it. That type of thing.
Yes.
My only worry with that is that doing that only once a month is going to slow down some of these projects to the point where I'm worried about being able to completely encumber the funds by the end of 2024. So,
Mr. Mayor, can we cannot approve unless we're in a meeting, right? Town council cannot approve unless we're in a town council meeting. Is that correct?
not as a body.
Right.
As a body, that's correct. It has to be a published meeting.
Right, so that requires a 2-week notice if you do a special meeting still.
That's exactly right. That's why I'm just saying that the following that policy will be, bulletproof, But
Right.
the timing to comply with it, I just want everybody to be clear, that it's going to slow some of these projects down fairly dramatically.
Matt, excuse me. It's
Yeah,
me.
Mavis.
In the planning of this though, and the fact that you have a game plan, a roadmap here already, how often do you think anything like that would even arise? I think, you know, it seems like there's proper planning is going to promote better results. And so we wouldn't have to go through a special meeting or rush through something.
Well, I don't think it's the planning that's the problem. I think it's the approval of the bids.
Well, even if it's the approval of the bid, you know, that build in the time that would be necessary for the job to start or whatever, so that we can do it within our format. We don't
I
want to.
think-
My goal.
I think Mavis, what he was trying to get at was that if it takes extra long time to get hold of a person to provide the number of bids required, that's the part where he's foreseeing the additional time.
I understand that, but I don't think that what I'm wondering is, should we not be able to plan far enough ahead so that if it's taking in for a third bid or whatever, that the project doesn't have to start tomorrow based on whether we get the third bid? You understand what I'm saying? I'm saying, you know, it's about planning. It's about being prepared for the eventuality of not being able to get the third. We just have to work with it.
Yeah, I cannot foresee us coming out of the procurement policy procedures.
No.
No, I was never even suggesting that. I was just suggesting that it might take longer meetings. There might be a lot more information that has to share. I mean, that's all I'm getting at. And Mavis,
Right.
of course, I'm planning to properly manage these projects so
Well, I
they're
think-
extended on time.
I'm
So it's
sorry.
just that, you know, there's a lot of projects.
Right.
Yes,
Okay.
there are, Matt. We
Well, I think
agree.
if somebody came in with a bid, you know, the day after we had a council meeting and that was our third bid and then you had to wait 30 days. Well, I mean, if we have to, we'll have a special meeting, you know, I mean, if that's going to slow something down for 30 days, that's going to make a difference. You'll have to make that decision.
So,
But otherwise, I think, you know, it's probably the most it's going to slow down things maybe a week or two, you know.
Mayor, if that be the case, suppose it was right after that, then you'd still have the 2-week notice of a public meeting.
I don't think you only need, it's not 2 weeks. It's only, public meeting notice is only a
Advertise
week.
twice in the paper in order to have a meeting, don't you?
I thought it was 10, I thought that was a week, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's 7 days, but I think, Mr. Mayor, I understand what you're saying is that just based on the timing, it's not going to hold up things for a solid month. I mean, it would be
No.
very unlikely that would be
Right.
the occurrence. All I'm saying is that there are a lot
I
of
think-
projects and getting these bids is going to be time consuming and it's going to add a lot to
Yes.
each of the monthly meetings. And I'm just putting that out there as my caveat. That's
Well,
all.
we're gonna
Nobody's
follow- we'll
suggesting a
follow the-
deviation.
All right, we're going to follow procurement as
Exactly.
yeah, and then if there's an issue, then we'll have a special meeting. All right, let's move on.
Can I ask a question, please?
Yes, I have one too.
I'm on page 10.
Okay,
And I'm looking at security for the water system.
yes.
It just seems to me, looking at some of the other values, that $10,000 for security on something as important as our water system, $10,000 seems awfully low.
I think it's for cameras, isn't it?
Yeah, I think $10,000 is going to be more than adequate, given the quotes that I'm looking at for some of the other systems. I think that's going to actually be fine. And one of the other things that we're going to have to do each month is when a project is finished. So let's say, for example, I finished that and it costs $7,500 when we're all finished. That $2,500 every month, council is going to have to reappropriate that $2,500 to either another project or a pool that we're going to have to use. And that also has to be encumbered by the 24th or December of 24. So there's a lot of work coming up. And I just
Mhm.
wanted to put it out there. Nobody's suggesting that we deviate from policy. What I'm just saying is that it's going to add a lot of work because it's a lot of money and there's a lot of projects.
Right. We
all.
understand, Matt, and
Okay,
we appreciate what you're doing. I do have a question.
sure. What do you
Over
got?
50,000, we issue a formal invitation to bid.
That's correct.
What is a formal invitation? Is that
Um,
published in the paper?
It
No.
is, what we do is we advertise that we're requesting bids. It's a fairly lengthy document that I
Right.
put together that provides enough information for a person to receive the packet and put together an accurate bid. In
Okay.
many cases, that would entail a sort of a pre-bid walkthrough. So any contractor that was willing to bid on the project could come in, ask questions, and then have a look at things. So that's really what it looks like, is you put it in the paper, you let people know. Sometimes, because not everybody reads the paper, we can call contractors that we know would be qualified to do the work, just to let them know that there is an invitation out there. But that would be the extent of the notification. There's no other, I'll say, favoritism. But
All
it's
right,
a
and-
fairly lengthy process. And then if you remember when we
Yes.
did the ramp, we had a
Yes.
blind opening. So we opened those bids publicly and they have to be sealed. Especially if it's over, I believe it's over $100,000, it has to be a sealed bid.
Okay, as a follow-up, 25 to 50,000, a written request for proposal, that seems much simpler, that you can go to companies and ask for that? Is that how that
Yeah.
works?
Yeah, I mean, we would pick contractors. Everything has to be publicly advertised, to be very clear. So all of our projects, all of our items are going to be put out to bid regardless of their size.
Okay,
Then for the larger ones, it's going to be a different type of invitation with the project description and the sealed bidding and things like that. So based on the size of it, we do want to make sure that we notify folks of the impending project or the upcoming project, but not anything other than just letting them know there's an opportunity.
thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, Mathis,
I'm on page 11,
okay,
and I'm looking at the first item in matching grant for Onancock business facades. I've asked this before, and I still don't feel comfortable with this as it sounds like it's a duplication or a cross with Main Street.
it is, yeah.
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not
Is it-
sure I would agree with that completely. What I'd say is that what we're going to do is the grant design has not been completed yet. So to be very clear, council has said that they would allocate up to $90,000 for a grant. The terms of that grant, the definition of that grant, the qualifications of that grant, nothing has been decided yet. So what my plan with that is to get representatives from OBCA, representatives from Main Street, and then 2 other representatives to come together and put together a grant design that we can then put before council and say, this is what we believe would be a fair use of those funds, and then let you decide whether or not that's a fair grant definition and appropriation.
But
So
Matt,
right now, it's just $90,000 set aside for that purpose. We haven't defined what's going to qualify a business to receive that grant yet.
I understand that, but I'm saying this is the same project, it sounds like, that Main Street is doing.
No, they're,
No?
I think they were, I don't know, Janet, are you there?
No.
Janet?
She's on mute.
I was trying to
There she
unmute,
goes.
sorry.
She just
Yes.
unmuted.
Mathis, you're exactly right. We did apply for that last year, and we did not get that funding. So that is never a sure thing,
Right.
that facade grant funding. And we will continue to try to apply for it. But again, that will also only apply to the downtown Main Street district. And this funding that y'all are setting aside can be used by any business in town, is my understanding. But right now, that funding is not there through Main Street.
Thank you.
And to go back to our procurement policy, the same way with the Domestic Violence Center, when we were discussing that, I emailed Sarah and she gave me a complete and very impressive list of how they are going to use the funding.
Excuse me,
how we-
Julie, to clarify, Sarah at Escadiv, not Sarah here.
Right, thank
Right.
you.
Well-
I don't know her last name, or I would say it. Is it Sarah?
It's
Anyway.
a B, it's initial B, but I don't remember.
Yes,
It's
Yeah.
Barb.
Sarah Barbin.
Sarah
You're talking about
Barbin.
thank you,
Yeah, right.
thank you.
But I mean,
Um,
we give the money away. They're not subject to our procurement policy. That's not a,
Really? I mean,
no. Now, if we write a check to give to some organization, that doesn't come under our procurement.
that's what I'm
policy.
asking. That's what
No,
I'm
that-
asking
that-
is
no,
we do
we give,
not have to come
No.
under these guidelines.
no, I mean, they don't, no, we don't, it's not like we meet, no.
Okay. All right, thank you.
All right, any other questions? I had a question about the 90,000 for the facade. I thought there was supposed to be, well, I thought it was 100,000.
After we gave the money to Escadiv, we redacted a little bit of money from a lot of different projects.
Oh, okay, all right, well, we can, maybe. we
And
can-
when, like I say, when we get the underage, if we have any under budget projects, you can always reappropriate to this or others.
Right, all righty. Okay, any other questions on the ARPA funding? All right, all righty, that's believe me, we're gonna be talking about this for the next 2 years.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, all right. Okay, the council discussion, the next item is discuss new ordinance governing developing land continuous to paper road ordinance. Matt?
Yeah, this one, we have a few paper roads in town, and a couple of them have had developers or people who've acquired properties on them that are going to necessitate a code for us to govern the development of any property on a paper road. The purpose of this one was to basically spell out the fact that that the person who, or the developer who purchases the property is solely responsible for any water, utility, electrical connection to that property. Our code is clear that we as a town do not pay to have a utility run from the current tie-in out to the property. So I just that needed to be called out. And then one of the bigger question was, what is going to be the quality of the street that is going to be in place or required to be built and engineered? So that's what a lot of this was that they have to comply with VDOT, the current VDOT standards, the time they make the application. One thing that's not overly clear in VDOT standards is the width. I spoke with the fire chief and he said that the minimum width that he would request for an emergency vehicle is 18 feet so that they can get the support legs down. So I put that in there as an 18 feet width minimum. I also put in the fact that because many of our streets are colloquially called tar and chip, but the tar and chip has a slurry seal on it that makes it look like asphalt. That slurry seal doesn't get put in place for a year or two after the road has been put down. So that's why I put a requirement for a performance bond in there. What we don't want to do is have somebody develop the street and then not finish the work. So that performance bond is in there for that purpose. And then the last item that I put in here is because one of our paper streets actually connects two existing streets. And the parcel that was looked at was in the middle. And this person thought that they could just take the road and extend it from road A to their driveway. And I wanted to be clear that if they're going to develop a paper road, they have to develop the full length of that paper road, not just the portion that connects their driveway. So I think that's the extent of what I was thinking with this. The folks who have approached me about developing on paper roads, this is absolutely consistent with everything the town has said to them verbally and in writing up to this point. So there's no surprises for anybody. This is consistent with what we talked about at Planning Commission, what we've talked about with VDOT, what we've talked about with the county, and what we've talked about with you folks. So at this point, I'm swamping the ball into your court, and I'm going to, just scribe and edit and make any adjustments that you feel necessary.
All right, any comments on this? I guess, I mean, you've taken out all the information that you were putting in.
Mr. Mayor,
About the street.
Mr. Mayor.
Oh, excuse me a second.
Yes, I'm sorry.
About the about the specifics of the street. You just said VDOT standards, correct? Yeah. Matt? Yeah.
Yes, I
Mr.
made it for the VDOT standards at the time of the application for the
Okay.
building permit. That way it's not, there's no
Okay.
questions.
All right. Joy?
Yes, Matt, I compliment you on this. As you know,
Thank you.
we've had this on the table for a long time. In order for there to be a discussion, there has to be a motion. So I move that the council adopt into the town of Anacott code.
Do we have,
This-
hold on, do we have to have a public hearing on this?
Before
We can
before
have
it
a
becomes code, you absolutely do. So what we would do is come up with it in its final, I'll say adoptable form that you folks feel comfortable with. And we'll have the public hearing, and then at that point you can vote.
A public hearing?
Before we go to a motion on this, may I just ask one question, Joy? Excuse me.
I would like to answer about the public hearing. According to the handbook that we got for mayors and councils, adoption or amendment of zoning or subdivision ordinances.
But this is for, the title on the page says draft for discussion only. It's not up for adoption yet now.
But that's up to council. If we put a motion on the floor and the council decides to, just
Well, we
because
can't-
there's a motion on the floor doesn't mean that we have to. We can vote to table it, we can vote to send it to a committee, or we can vote to adopt it. You know, just because there's a motion doesn't mean that we're going to.
But we can't adopt anything if we have to have a public hearing.
You do have to, anytime you change, at least according to Michelle Gowdy at VML, the smartest course of action is always to have a public hearing whenever any town ordinance is changed or added.
Okay.
Okay, may I ask my question?
Yeah, go ahead. Let me go back to it. Joy, do you have any comments about the ordinance? Are you okay with it?
I am very okay with it. I would only add in front of number 6 that prior to the commencement of building construction, comma.
Okay, all right. I see where you're going. That's no problem.
And I would like to make my comment that on February the 28th, this was brought to the attention of the mayor, the vice mayor, and the town manager about this paper road issue. There are many paper roads in the town. For instance, there's one on the western end of Mary Lane. There's one on the eastern end of Mary Lane. The one on the western end of Mary Lane, on the 31st day of August in 2000, was sold to the property beside it by the town of Anacott for $25,000. There's also a paper road on the extension of Warren Street between the Bagwell property and extends on Warren Street. There's also one that runs parallel to Sturgis Street on the 100-acre field there. That if that is ever developed, that's a paper road.
Perfect.
There's,
Sturgis.
pardon me?
No, parallel.
Sturgis.
Parallel. Yeah,
Parallel.
it
No,
makes this beside where you come out on Meadville.
Meadville to the field.
And then there's a paper road that runs the entire length of Sturgis Street, parallel to Sturgis Street in that field. That is a paper road.
Oh, okay, I see what, I know what
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
mean.
Meadville extends and runs into that. Yeah.
Right, that's
Yes,
another,
It
correct.
comes off of Hill Street. Yeah, it comes off of,
Yes.
yeah.
It would come off of Liberty and
right. Just a
and
little-
Liberty. There's also one that is from Carr Street to, is it Waples?
wait,
That
Paul.
has several lots on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are several in town that we need to look at. So, and the thing is, why do we want to do this? Well, I see no reason to delay it, but if you feel that we should have a public hearing, then we should. Because this is not a win-win. This is a win-win-win because it's a win for the town because we will receive roads that have been built to VDOT standards. Not roads that have just been, gravel put down. And then like the people right now on Turner and the people on Jackson, we are struggling to bring their roads to VDOT standards. So that would be good for the town. And it'll also be good for the adjoining residents in that we would maintain their property values. And it would also be good for people who are coming in town looking at potential property to buy. And there would be a clear town code here, because in Virginia, it is a buyer beware. So this is something that other towns have had to deal with, and they put it in their code. And I think it would make sense for us to do the same.
All right, well, let's have a motion to go out, to present it to Matt to go to public hearing and for the next meet, at the February meeting. And then somebody want to make the motion in that, and then we can have a discussion on that. No?
Just
No.
did.
I just listening to what Joy just said, it just makes so much sense. What are we waiting for?
We have to have a public hearing.
My question wasn't about that at all. My question had to do with what is the difference between a VDOT owned paper road and the town owned paper road is something I wanted to get clarified before we did this. Now,
Well,
VDOT owns paper.
there are no VDOT owned paper roads in town. There are only town owned paper roads.
How
The
is that
town
possible?
owns the paper roads.
VDOT owns the paper road on the Meadville extension.
That is not a paper road. That's a VDOT road.
Okay, VDOT says it's a paper road. Okay,
Yeah.
if it doesn't matter, then it doesn't
Yeah, I
matter.
think we're I think we're sort of splitting hairs here.
It's not important. I just thought it was,
Yeah.
I was told it
I
was.
understand your comment. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
so-
we need a motion to go out to public hearing. Can we have one, please?
I make a motion that we have a public hearing on this at our next town council meeting.
As the ordinance is presented with the one change that you suggested,
Yeah.
correct?
Are you good with that change, Mr. Spock?
Absolutely, absolutely.
I have a question
You've got the second?
We haven't got a second yet.
Your
A
question
second.
is for the vote. I'm sorry.
Mavis second, yeah.
Mavis seconded? Okay, now the discussion can go.
Sarah can question now.
Discussion, yeah.
Okay, my question is, I see in the beginning of the spec that it says before there can be any development, there have to be building, zoning, and land disturbance permits presented for review. If there are drainage or other issues that arise from the construction that were not foreseen in those permit reviews, who has what recourse to whom?
It's a good question.
The VDOT standards for the roads actually speak to the drainage ditches required on each side. They don't quantify it. They say it has to be sufficient to manage the stormwater from the impervious surface. So I asked specifically, are there depth requirements? Are there width requirements? Are there anything like that? And all they did was say that it needs to be sufficient. But because we're saying that this would need to meet VDOT standards, drainage ditches are part of VDOT standards.
Sarah, I would think that before any construction could commence, we would want to see a road into the property. I don't know, Matt.
I
how
meant
you-
construction of the road.
Right,
I mean,
Yeah.
if the road itself
damages, Adjoining
generates
property.
damage to a neighbor.
that's not addressed.
Can you do that? I mean, can you tell somebody they have to build the road before they build their house?
Do you want major pieces of equipment just coming onto the dirt road in front of your house? I mean, that's a consider, I don't know.
I am not being specific to anyone's particular issue. I'm just asking a general question here.
Nor
about
am
whether
I.
you have the right to say, build the road and then you can build your house. I just want to know whether this is normal. I mean, because building the road, they have to put in the water and sewer system, I mean, the water line and everything else too, because
Right.
it has to go from the house to the road or to where the town meets the piping and everything. So I'm just wondering whether we're asking people not to build. That's all. Just question.
I don't
And
know. It seems like we're in the, I understand the comment about if there's a problem, but I mean, if it's not in the, are we going to write our own, we're going to we're going to go back to writing our own ordinance if VDOT doesn't say enough about drainage to after the road's built? I mean, that's
It
what,
was a question.
yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I'm not sure. First of all, I think we'd have to talk to an attorney before we could even, find out what, or an engineer about what to do about that. If it's not in the VDOT things, I understand what you're saying.
But Mr. Mayor, does this not require an engineer's work, before this?
I'm sure it does. Yeah.
So then wouldn't that come and be
Well,
explained?
she's talking about if something happens afterwards, if they designed it all and it doesn't work and it, floods somebody's property. I can understand that. The question is, can we predict every contingent, or is there anything we can do about that? It's a good question. I don't know.
But doesn't that come to VDOT standards cover that even as vague as it is? Doesn't it cover it? Because VDOT standards does not allow you to have standing water and issues like that.
Well, you would hope so, yeah. But I mean, there are problems where, I don't know.
That would be our leg to stand on.
Right.
That issue.
Well, as your other question about VDOT roads, if VDOT owns the paper road, we don't have anything to do with it, because this is only the question you had earlier.
Well, I question
if VDOT does own a paper road, the town has no say on that road. We don't. It's like
Right, I understand that, but I was under the impression that the road on the side of my property is a paper road and it's a VDOT road at the same time.
Right. Well, we have a month to go, between now and the public hearing, if we can look into this issue that Sarah brought up, rather than,
Motion on the floor.
we have a motion. I don't know if we can resolve this just among ourselves right now, but we probably need to get, engineer, get an opinion from somebody, and then we can, we'll talk about it at the February meeting. Yeah.
So do we want to go ahead with the motion on the floor?
Yeah.
And
Any
Sarah,
further discussion?
Yes, Sarah, would you state your question again, please, so that I'm clear?
My question is there any recourse from a neighbor if an unforeseen drainage or other issue arises from the construction of a paper road, despite the predictions and the engineering that goes into the permits?
Sounds like that's going to wind up in court. Matt,
Do you not think the 125% performance bond would cover that?
Depends on if we require stormwater management as part of the performance, and we would, because that would be VDOT standards. I don't know how long. I think the way I'm hearing the question is if during the term of the bond, so if the bond said that once the slurry seal is covered, the project's been complete, it would be at that point. Prior to that, you would have to determine if there were a stormwater problem, and it'd have to be fixed as part of the engineer, because the engineer's going to put together drawings that are going to manage stormwater. That's their job. So if it's not working, then I would say that the job isn't finished and would fall into the performance of the project. At least that's the way I would interpret that. And again, I'm not a lawyer and I'm not going to pretend to be, but that's the way I would interpret that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I understand. Let's move on. We need to get, Matt can look into this. I don't know if we're going to, like I said, sounds like it might be a legal question. If somebody has recourse, who would they go after and stuff, and what can we, and the chances maybe that we wouldn't have that issue. Anyway. All right. So any more comments on this? All right,
last comment. I would think that once the performance bond is met, Matt, then the road becomes the town road, then the town would be liable, think. So it's to the towns. Well, you want to get a lawyer on that and see. I don't know.
Mr. Mayor, do we have to withdraw the motion that was on the floor because we're not going to vote on it or because we have not voted on it?
Well-
We're waiting on a vote. I'm going to vote on it.
We did have a motion and a second on the floor.
I know, and I'm waiting for a vote. Yeah, I'm going to vote. We're going to vote.
Okay,
Huh?
I just thought we were moving on.
No, I'm talking about moving on to vote.
Okay.
Yeah. If we don't vote now, we're not going to have a public hearing on February. If we're not going to have a public hearing in February.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay, so Joy,
Yes.
we're just happy. Okay, Mavis,
Aye.
Cindy,
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
Thelma, Ray.
Aye.
Okay, all right, so we're just going to go out to public hearing for the next meeting. So if have concerns, we can look into this between now and then. All right. Okay, discuss paper roads. All right, public comment. Does anybody have any public comment? No one? Everybody's muted, so if you.
Mr. Mayor, I do, Kathy
Okay,
Boyd.
Kathy Boyd, go ahead.
Good evening, everybody, town council people and Mr. Mayor and Matt and public. I have some positive comments. The first being that we are so appreciative of having 2 working boats at the town wharf this winter. When Steve and I moved here in 2012, the wharf during the on season had both pleasure boats and working boats. And in the winter, it had working boats. And over the years, between policy changes and rent increases, the watermen were no longer at the wharf. And it was not a good look for the town and, in our opinion, not a great policy. So we are very pleased to see 2 watermen tied up at our town wharf for the winter, and we hope that that will continue. My second comment is about Christmas. I know it's a little bit late, but and some people commented last meeting. I just thought our town looked spectacular, and I know that it was a combination of many efforts, organizations, volunteers, homeowners. It was inclusive of different neighborhoods in our town, and it just was lovely why we live in a small town. And I have to say that to me, it started with a vision of Janet Posky and a committee of volunteers, and then a decoration committee who inventoried what the town had and made decorations. And the sails that are on the Bagwell Bridge were made by volunteers. And if there hadn't been that vision, we wouldn't have had this spectacular event, and newcomers in the town stepped up to the plate and did stuff. So I'm really appreciative of that. And finally, appreciative of all of the hard work that the council members do, and of the Main Street organization. You know, it certainly improves the quality of life here in Anancock, and I'm proud to be a resident. So thanks, everybody.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Good to
May
hear.
I follow on, this is Janet Falsky, may I follow on Kathy's comments about the holiday decorations? It's truly a whole bunch of holiday decorating elves in our town that make this happen. And this is a town appointed committee, but we will meet again soon in late January, early February to make plans for next year. And so I invite anyone who's interested in volunteering for that committee to apply to the town for a position on the committee. We could use some more input. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd also like to thank Terry and Craig. They're still finishing up, taking stuff down. They really stepped up this year and did a lot of stuff that volunteers have done in the past, and they have really they've really done a great job. Really helped. I mean, they've done some stuff that I was having to do every year, and I'm greatly appreciated. We've got a really nice storage area now that the stuff's being stored in. It's been cataloged and taken care of. So it's looking good. All right, any other public comment? Okay, public comment is closed. Committee reports, HRSD, Matt, I know you've got some good news on that one.
I do. I was gonna put it in part of my town manager's report, but we were able to close on the transfer of the wastewater treatment plant to HRSD this past Friday. So at noon on Friday, we formally transferred ownership and operation of the wastewater treatment plant to HRSD. Now that comes with a couple of different nuances. So I've got a couple of points I wanted to throw in there. First of all of our bonds have been fully relieved and canceled. So both outstanding bonds have been fully paid, and I have verification of that. Our employees, we had 3 employees down there. 2 of them transferred formally to HRSD at midnight on Friday. The 3rd worked through the weekend and then retired yesterday. He and I are working together to find out if there's anything he'll be able to do for us down the road. But he's stepping away with a positive attitude, and he's been with us for 31 years. I asked him if there was anything that town council could do to recognize that 31 years. And he humbly asked that not happen. So he is thrilled with his career here. He stepped off with good, solid state benefits, and we're going to continue our relationship with him as best we can. The assets that we transferred over were removed from our insurance policy effective midnight on Friday, so we're going to get a credit back there. The way that this is going to work for the next phase, so if you remember, this is a 2-phase project. The first phase was to transfer the wastewater treatment plant, which has happened. The second phase is to transfer the collection system. Basically, the collection system is all the piping underneath the ground. That part is a much more complicated contract negotiation. We've come to general agreement on those terms, but the big part of that project is that all of our easements and rights of way for all of that plumbing that's underground have to be surveyed and legally cleared. So that's what HRSD is taking on right now, is they're providing all the surveyors, they're providing all the workers that are out there. They're going to list everything with the county, and they're going to get all of those rights of way and easements released. Once they get all of those named, at that point, we'll close on the second phase. Between now and then, the way this works is that we will bill the HRSD wastewater plant for any use of our water at published rates, and they will bill us at the wholesale rate for any wastewater treated as measured by the influent meter. Basically, there's a meter on the way in. It measures all the stuff that comes in right at the fence. We pay them the wholesale rate for that. They pay us for the water that they use. Now, obviously, we have no other expenses down there. We no longer have any payroll. We no longer have any insurance. We no longer have any equipment, nothing. So the only cost we're going to have at this point is simply the wastewater, the wholesale rate for the wastewater they treat. Over the next few months, that should generate positive cash flow for us, at least by my calculations, but who knows how much is going to come in through the influent meter. That's our unknown. So that's how that works. As far as the impact to residents, this afternoon, I got HRSD's emergency contact number. I'll be putting that out in a communication to the entire community. The way it's got to work is because we run the water department and they run the sewer department. If there's a sewer emergency, they have to call HRSD. If there's a water emergency, they have to call us. Now, sometimes that's not going to be clear. So we've both shared that if a call comes in for the other, we're going to take care of one another. We've really created a great working relationship with these folks. So that part's not an issue, but I'll be putting out the 2 different ways that you can communicate with HRSD and with our water department after hours. Of course, if it's during the day, call the office. We're going to take care of you. We'll put you in touch with whomever is going to solve your problem. So that part is the next thing that's coming out, is the communication change. Other than that, it's the same people they've been seeing driving around town. They're just going to have better trucks. So I think that's the end of it. I mean, the key behind this first phase is that now the town has avoided all future risk for owning and operating a wastewater treatment plant. And that's a huge future gain for the town. So while we're not making any huge financial strides because of a windfall of money, everybody thinks that because we got the debt paid, we're going to be tripping over all the money we're going to get. That's not true, because we also are going to lose all the revenue associated that paid those bonds. So that's where the wash comes out. So I really want everybody to be clear. This was a future decision that eliminates the town risk for the simple reason that the debt was paid. We're also at the end of phase 2 going to be losing all of the billing that paid those bonds. So it'd be the same as having somebody pay off your mortgage and then remove all the income that you use to pay your mortgage. It's the same thing. It's a net cash wash, but it's for the future of the town. It's a really positive risk avoidance move. So that's what's happened. I hope that was clear. I know there was a lot of information I just spit out. If anybody has any questions, you can ask them now or email them or call me. I'm pretty well versed in this transaction.
Okay, any questions about HRSD?
A comment. Thank you and congratulations and hallelujah.
Yeah, been a long
Amen.
time.
And thank you for saying that. It was a lot of work.
Okay, Waterfront, I guess this, Matt, you got a few things, not much on that really.
No, Kathy was appropriately positive about the relationship we've got with some of our working boats. We were able to put a seasonal rate together that was very cost conscious for our working boats. We also allowed them to hook up to our electric so they can use their engine warmers so that they don't have any issues. So we're thrilled to have them down there. We also recognize the fact that the town's invested over $1 million in floating docks and pedestals and boats. So, working boats put a lot of wear and tear on there. We want to make sure that they understand and respect the value that we hold in our wharf, and they do. They're great people. I'm thrilled to be working with them. So other than that, we're putting our to-do list to get the building open again. The other project that we've got is the bulkhead project, where we got a grant from VPA and some money also to match that from BIG or Boaters Improvement Grant. That project, we still haven't gotten the Army Corps of Engineers permit on that, so I'm probably formally kicking that can down until after the next boating season. We're not going to do any major project on the bulkhead during boating season, so we'll probably just move that to next September-ish. So that's my waterfront.
All right, Planning Commission, they didn't meet, right?
No, they didn't meet, and they've been reviewing the business districts and what some of the by right and some of the other requirements are for those districts. That project, or that conversation rather, just started at their last meeting, so there's a lot more to flesh out, a lot more to talk about. So those are going to be rich conversations coming up with the Planning Commission.
All right, along with that, we have a vacancy on the Planning Commission. I've talked to everybody on council, and I think no one's really interested in going on Planning Commission. Is that correct? Anybody? So I would like to go on the Planning Commission. If anybody has any problem with that, let me know. I guess we need I guess we need to make sure that that's okay. I don't see any reason it's not. I'd probably go off of the Personnel Committee, go on Planning. Does anybody, I think I've talked to everybody. Does anybody want to be on the Planning Commission? All right, don't all jump at once. All right, does anybody have a problem with me being their representative to the Planning Commission?
I think you do a great job, Fletcher.
All right, we're gonna need a vote.
We thank you for doing it.
I've been on the I was on the Planning Commission for 10 or 15 years before I even came on the council. Yeah. Anyway, if somebody have a motion, need a motion to put me on there. It basically goes with my term of office as mayor. Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I nominate you for the Planning Commission position.
This is Thelma, I second it.
Okay. All in favor, Joy,
Aye.
Cindy, let's go. Yay or nay? You're mute. You mute. Yeah, there you are.
Yes.
Sarah?
Yay.
Aye.
Thelma?
And yay.
Mavis,
Aye.
Ray.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thanks. So,
Congratulations, Mr. Mayor.
thank you. Yeah. I don't know whether it's good or bad. Anyway, so now the personnel, Joy, and in terms of personnel, I'm going to resign from the personnel, so we need somebody to replace me. And I guess I talked to Cindy. Seems interested in that, so you can take it, Joy, from here.
Okay. We did not meet as a personnel committee. As chair of personnel, I did meet with the mayor and the town manager, and we discussed 2 issues: police retention and crime. And the personnel committee will be meeting February 1st at 3:30. And I would like to nominate Cindy Holdren to serve on the personnel committee. You seem to have lost the mayor.
Does that need a second coming from a committee? Does it not?
No, yeah, we need a motion. Yeah.
So Joy moved. We need a second.
I second the
Second.
motion.
All right,
Okay.
Mavis seconded it.
Discussion, I think. Okay, let's have a vote. Joy,
Aye.
Cindy,
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
Thelma,
Aye.
Mavis,
Aye.
Ray.
Aye.
Okay, all right, good. All righty, so we're back up to, and then the final thing is, this is not a committee, but we need a vice mayor. And Mavis has indicated her willingness to do that. So if you all have, somebody want to make a motion to do that, or if that's okay with the group?
I nominate Mavis Oswald as vice mayor.
Second?
I second the motion.
Okay, discussion? Okay, I'll vote again. Joy?
Aye.
Cindy? You're muted again. Yeah.
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Thelma?
Aye.
Mavis?
Aye.
Ray?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, you'll have to go in and talk to Matt, get some signature cards, Mavis, for the, Matt will give you that. That's about the only thing I think you have to do. I don't know. Matt can talk to you about that.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay, we're on the mayor's report. I guess we did most of that stuff, filling the vacancies. I don't know if you all got an invitation to the Volunteer Fire Department annual banquet. I'm not going to be able to go to that. They usually have me swear their new officers in. Are you going to that, Mavis?
No, I just came off a really serious nasal infection, and I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to expose myself right now. So I sent a regrets.
Is anybody going? No one?
I'm going, but I can't swear anybody to anything.
Well, I mean, yeah. Are you going, Sarah?
Yes.
Well, I mean, I'll talk to Adam, see if one of you 2 guys can do it. I don't think it's an official thing. They just need somebody to, Sarah could probably do it as elected official. Yeah.
I think that'd be
Yeah.
great.
Just help me know what I need to say or let
They
them.
give you a script. It takes about, 3 or 4 minutes at the end of the meeting. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's right. You always do it, don't you, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah. It takes a little longer than that. They all come up and hold up their hands and you just read a little thing. Yeah. So yeah, it's I wish I could be there, but I can't. Anyway, so that the other thing is Matt and I have been talking about, I guess budget planning and strategic planning, and we needed to get a work session at some point, and I think I'd like to do that sometime in February. So Matt, did you have any ideas about a time or anything? Is that too early for you?
February might be squeezing it a little bit. I'm going to be putting together all my templates and what I did ask council members, if you have any thoughts that you'd like me to start thinking about, just shoot me an email and I can start getting my list together so I can start costing things out and making projections. And then I can start getting my current year and all my reports rolled out. So if I could do that during February.
Okay, let's do
March,
first or second week in March. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
Okay, well, we'll pass that around and come up with a date to give people enough time to, and I'd like to, we can also talk about a little strategic planning at the same time. Yeah. Okay.
Super.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I think that's all I have. Yeah, that's all I've got. Okay. So town manager's report.
Yeah, really, I handed it out last week. I'll make that publicly available after the meeting, but we finished the Hrsd. I obviously talked all about that. That was a lot of work. And then one of the other things that took a lot of work was the audit. Our annual audit of 2021's financials took place. They were very pleased with access to the information. They didn't find anything material, and they said they'd be issuing their financial statements probably in mid-February for draft for us to review disclosures. So everything went really well with the audit. One of the things I'm most excited about is we filled the office manager position. Debbie Caton previously worked with, or I guess currently works with, the Cape Charles Treasurer's Office. She's accepted the position to come in and take over the office manager position starting February 7th. So once she gets in, there's going to be a lot of time for training and whatnot, but we're really excited to have her joining us. Other than that, I don't, I give kudos to Victor, who's starting his apprenticeship. Tomorrow is the first day of his apprenticeship. I'm really excited for him and his career choice. Terry and Craig have been killing it out there in the freezing cold, getting everything cleaned up and organized and whatnot. So the guys are out there working in really tough conditions. So if you see them, thank them. All of them are doing really, really great work. I'm very pleased.
Okay, is that it?
That's it.
Any questions for the town manager? Okay.
I got word that the chipper had broken, and then by a miracle, the pile of brush got gone the next day. So whoever did that, however that happened, thank you.
Yeah, Terry was a rock star with that. It was a broken hydraulic belt or a hydraulic hose, and he was able to go down to Drummond and get it redesigned and configured and put it on the next day and went right back to work. So he's doing enormous amounts of work for this town.
Yeah. I have a comment. I have seen what these guys do, and I appreciate it more than they know. But I think you need to remind the public of what our rules are in terms of putting out stuff to be chipped, because it's a 4x4x4 pile that's supposed to be the maximum of any time. And I see branches thrown any which way. There's vines and grasses are supposed to be bagged, and these things are not happening. And I think, you've got two guys out there working like crazy, and their job would be so much simpler and faster and more efficient if people would cooperate.
And safer. As somebody who went out and did that job with them, it was a dangerous job with people who put the long branches in multiple directions. And you're right, when springtime springs, my thwomping on the drum of chipping regulations is going to be there. But sadly, over the years, it's been one of those things that folks might take advantage of and take for granted. And then as time goes on, it just gets more and more problematic. And we want the neighborhood to look great. So we typically end up picking up things that we probably shouldn't, but we don't want it laying out in front looking terrible. So, we're going to come up with a happy medium, and hopefully in the springtime, we'll have our new chipper, which will make it a big difference for safety and speed. So hopefully we'll be able to get a lot of good things coming up in spring for chipping, but it's one of the true value added that people get for living in town. So I hate to be the one to start pulling back on it. Do people get warned if they violate that policy? We have door hangers that will hang up if people go grossly over, but they give that the weight that you would think they do.
Yeah, okay.
Is there an opportunity, say with the water bills or something, to put out the word so that people who may have come to town after those regulations were put in place, are aware of what they are?
That's a great point. One of the things we do with all of our new residents when they come to town, we're going to be putting together a welcome pack, more formal, but currently Mary Ellen goes through the rules and regulations with everything from water to sewer to chipping to garbage to contact information to all of those things. So she takes good care of all of our new people. I'd like to figure out a way to send something maybe a month after they move in, because quite frankly, when people move in, they're still got their U-Haul truck out front trying to get their water turned on, and we're sitting there talking about sticks in December. So probably doesn't stick as well as you'd like it to. So I'm trying to come up with a way to positively enforce the rules that have been out there for a good long time.
I've asked about this before, and I was told there was no room to put that notification on the water bill. I mean, if you can find a way to do it, I think a monthly or every time people get a bill, they're reminded. We need to look. I mean, if you drive around town, it looks a wreck just because. And the mayor has commented on this before too. As soon as the guys pick up, there's stuff being put out. That's just not right.
Well, yeah, we need to, we need to do something about it.
Mr. Mayor, can I comment on that?
Sure.
I think we do have to be flexible in realizing that when there are storms, there's considerable damage sometimes. So it isn't always feasible to enforce the limits strictly is what I think I'm trying to get at. Certainly with the snowstorm, there was breakage of limbs from the snow. We do get the occasional high winds, etc. So I just believe that we have to be somewhat flexible about it.
Well, I think people do take it for, they take advantage of it. I mean, if I have more than that, I put it in my truck and take it to dump myself, and maybe not everybody has a truck, but still, it's like people, they assume that they're gonna, they don't want to take anything themselves, and if they have a huge pile, they do it or divide it up. You're right. Storms are a problem, and you don't want them sitting all over your yard the whole time, so you put them in a pile. We need to come up with, this has been a thorn in our side from the get-go. We didn't used to have this 20 years ago, and then we added it, and it's a great service, but people do tend to abuse it, and we probably need to enforce it a little bit better, for the people that are using it right, and kind of come down on these people that are abusing it. All right. All right, council comments, Joy?
Yes. First of all, I want to say hello to Catherine Krause and thank her for all the years of service that she gave to the town of Anancock, both on the council and on the Anancock Main Street, and to me personally. Thank you, Catherine. And I also want to thank Matt for the tremendous amount of work that went into Hrsd. I know I attended most of the meetings, and it went on for a long time, I know, and to the committee and to Bob Loxam, who helped to spearhead that. And I think we're all really glad that it is over and it's done. And I also was in the interviews where we hired our new person in the office, and I was very impressed with how Matt and Mary Ellen went through that process. And I think that everybody will be very pleased with that. That was done very well. And so we have some really good news in that we have gotten our Northeast grant for $978,000. That a lot of people did a lot of work for a long time. I know Thelma and Clinton and Betty pounded the pavement to bring that to fruition. And Eric from ANPDC really came through on that. And I agree with the resident who asked us to please consider getting the Airbnb into next month's meeting. And I think that's something that we need to address. And I hope that we can see that map that we talked about with the 200 feet plus the tax parcel, so that that will help us make that decision. And I think that's about it. So thank you.
Cindy?
First of all, I'd like to thank the town council for my appointment. I'm pleased to have joined you and certainly have a lot to learn. So thank you for all your help, and those of you that I've asked many questions of, I appreciate your assistance. I would like to mention to you that I did meet with Matt a few weeks ago about the financial statements, and you may note that the summary page looks somewhat different. I made some suggestions about simplifying it and making it more explanatory. I hope that's helpful. Matt decided to go ahead and make those changes. Honestly, my request, or really my purpose in meeting with Matt, was to let him know my thoughts on it and before bringing it to council, but he felt he could go ahead and make a few changes. So I just wanted to call your attention to that so you can look at it, see if it's helpful. If not, please talk with Matt about changes you'd like, or revert to the old format, whatever your preference is. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah?
Seconding the kudos on the Hrsd and also on the Northeast grant. And a question about what the next steps are for that, whose court they're in, and when things will begin to be able to happen.
I assume that was Eric, Eric Lentz with the,
Yeah. AMPDC administers this grant for us, so they are really responsible for all of that. So hopefully they're going to be overly communicative and, open meetings and have a lot of input. But if I hear anything or know of anything, I'll make sure to include it in my town manager's report so everybody's up to speed.
I assume the management team is still in place through the whole project, correct?
I would think so, yes.
Yeah, I don't think it was just a planning thing. Yeah. Okay.
No.
All right. Is that it, Sarah?
Yep.
Thelma?
I got a chance to speak to Eric a few days ago, and I was so very pleased to see that the amount of money that was given for this neighborhood. We have so many blighted houses in this neighborhood that really need to be torn down because they're beyond repair. So now, hopefully within the next few months, they will get started with that project, and it will help a whole lot just to get rid of those before they even start repairing any of the other homes.
Okay. I hope so too. Thank you. Mavis?
I just want to say I feel that our meetings are becoming more and more productive, and that we are working well as a team. Another comment is I'd like to make sure that the council and the town manager works with the businesses in town when we're talking about facades and that kind of thing, that we're not dictating or not dictating, but foisting ideas upon people who are satisfied with what they have or would like to just work together rather than say, oh, you need a new facade. Okay, I'm just saying maybe a work session with local businesses is in order.
All right, thank you. Ray?
Hi. I wanted to first say thank you for this meeting. Cindy, thank you for your comments. I noticed your comments appeared in the report this week, and that was helpful. And Fletcher, your comment about you're wrapping up the discussion about the chipping. You said this didn't happen 20 years ago. Were you referring to chipping didn't happen 20 years ago, or?
Yeah, they weren't chipping when I was, there was no chipper when I first moved back to Hancock. There was no free. I mean, I remember if you wanted to, you could borrow the town truck and go pick it up, and they'd load it up, and then they would pick it up out of your yard and take it to the dump. But there was no shippings. That's not to say that it's, yeah.
Mr. Mayor, weren't we also able to take yard
Yeah, we-
debris where that, where the water or sewer.
Right, yeah, you could take your pickup truck and dump it over at the plant. There was a pile there. I mean, that was not too long ago. People, you could do that, yeah.
That was
But-
the best deal.
Yeah, we don't have a 100-year history of picking up everybody's yard debris. So
Right, so it's pretty recent, so it's less
it's
than
not,
20
it's
years.
not, it's been quite a while, yeah. So I'm just stating that. I'm not, it's not advocating one thing or another. It's just an historical comment, yeah,
Wait, right?
That's fine.
yeah, okay. Any other comments?
That's all.
All right, do we have we're not having a closed session, and we will have, let's have a motion to adjourn.
Oh,
Mavis, I guess that,
I so moved that we adjourn this meeting.
second?
I'll
Got
second
it? Okay, Ray? All right, all in favor? I assume all are gonna vote aye, all right? Okay, all right, thank you very much. Enjoyed it, all right. Well, we'll be back in person hopefully in February. Everybody stay